Does anyone else find it ironic that a group of people who call themselves progressives are so regressive? In the latest example of progressive Luddites, let's take a look at a statement from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez requesting that people not only forgo a piece of modern technology, but that the American people pay for it. Now, if you have a lick of sense, this video will blow your mind, and we'll ponder that next on the Constitution Study.
There's one thing you have to know wherever you make your stand. Came from a long through line of everyday Americans.
Hello there, everyday Americans. Paul Engel here once again with the Constitution Study, where we read and study and we teach the rising generation to be free. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm glad that you do. I love when I see those numbers rising, when people are watching and subscribing and engage. So if you do, please hit the subscribe button or hit the like button if you're watching me on Facebook. Follow the Constitution Study. Keep up to date with what's going on within the Constitution Study in ways you can help educate yourself and educate your neighbors. That's what this is all about: reading, studying, and teaching the next generation to be free. Now, freedom's one thing, but what are we going to do with that freedom? Let's take a look at a video that Ms. Cortez posted a bit over a month ago. And it's taken me a while to get to this, but it's just been that type of month. So let's take a look at what she's suggesting we do.
Hello, everyone. I have been thinking about ways to help you help the post office. And I think I've got an idea, and I'm interested in hearing your thoughts.
Okay, so AOC wants to help find a way to help the post office. I don't see a problem with that. I mean, if you want to help the post office, that's fine. I have no problem with that, but just let me ask you two questions. First, do you think that a congresswoman from New York City knows best how to help the post office, or to help you help the post office? Second, do you think that a national program would help them efficiently? I mean, isn't that the complaint we hear most about the post office, is its inefficiency? Well, let's look at what AOC has in mind.
So one of the best ways to support the post office is to buy stamps. What do you all think? Would you guys be down and excited if I set up a national progressive pen pal program?
Okay, so according to AOC, the best way to help the Postal Service is buying stamps. I don't know about you, but the last time I heard from the Postal Service, selling stamps wasn't their biggest moneymaker. But okay, maybe that's the case. So her idea is she's going to set up a national progressive pen pal program. I mean, as long as she's not involving government, if she wants to set up a pen pal program, she's free to do so. And you're free to join it or not join it as you see fit. But look at what she wants to do with this national progressive pen pal program.
Do all the work of connecting you to somebody else. We would offer maybe some conversation prompts or postcard prompts, and even like a printable postcard format. You just send it out. Would you guys be down? Do you like that idea?
I don't know. Personally, I'm not, but okay, she wants to connect progressive people together. Again, I have no problem with that. She wants to provide prompts and templates for postcards to remind people and to make it easy for them to send postcards through the mail. Again, I don't have a problem with it. Personally, I don't think it makes a lot of sense. I don't think it's very effective or efficient, but if that's what she wants to do, as long as she is doing this as a private citizen and doesn't involve any government tools or money or resources, she's free to do so. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, go for it. I really don't care. It has no impact on my life. But let's take another look at what she's suggesting.
So one of the best ways to support the post office is to buy stamps.
So AOC's idea to get people to help the Postal Service is to buy stamps. The Postal Service in fiscal year 2019 had an $8.8 billion deficit. So our plan to deal with that apparently is to get progressives to send postcards to each other. Now, since a postcard stamp costs 35 cents, that means it would take over 25 billion postcard stamps to cover the loss. That is, if we don't count in the expense of actually delivering these postcards. Now, nowhere could I find what it actually costs the Postal Service to deliver a postcard or what kind of profit they get on their stamps, so that's the best I could do. But AOC doesn't have to get rid of the entire deficit. She just wants to help. So let's say AOC could get 1 million postcards sent. That's $350,000. Minus the cost of delivery. Doesn't sound like an awful lot to you, does it? Doesn't to me. Okay, let's say she gets 100 million postcard sent. Let's say the progressives go absolutely wild sending all these postcards. $35 million out of an $8.8 billion deficit. 35 million from 8,800 million. That's if she can get 100 million postcards sent. And that doesn't even, and that isn't even the best of it. Not only does this not help the Postal Service that much, but in order to give the Postal Service 35 cents, you not only have to buy the 35-cent stamp, you have to buy the postcard as well. So let's see how efficiently we're going to help the post office. You're going to spend 38, 40 cents by the time you pay for postage and a postcard. Of that, you're going to give 35 cents to the Postal Service, of which we have an unknown amount of that 35 cents is going to be spent in delivering that postcard. Does this not sound like a government boondoggle? Let's take money, let's just waste it and spread it over here and give a little bit to the people that are actually trying to help. But then again, if this is what Ms. Ocasio-Cortez wants to do, be my guest. To me, it's a waste of time, and it's just more money out of progressives' hands. In fact, it reminds you a little bit of a story Milton Friedman used to tell. He recalled traveling to an Asian country back in the 60s, and he was visiting a work site where they were building a new canal. Now, he was shocked to see that instead of modern tractors and earth movers, the workers had shovels. Now, Friedman asked why there were so few machines. The government bureaucrat explained, "You don't understand. This is a jobs program." To which Milton replied, "Oh, I thought you were trying to build a canal. If it's jobs you want, then you should give these workers spoons, not shovels." Kind of sounds like what Ms. Ocasio-Cortez is trying to do. If you want to fix the Postal Service, let's not find something that will actually fix their problem. Let's just keep people busy. Maybe they won't think about it anymore. But why is the Postal Service treated more like a jobs program than a business to deliver mail? And why is it that progressive solutions to problems so often seem to be a regression to a bygone era? Could it be that progressives' ideas are actually those of Luddites? What is a Luddite, you ask? Well, according to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, a Luddite is one of a group of early 19th century English workmen destroying labor-saving machinery as a protest. Broadly, one is opposed to especially technological change. See, rather than looking at the way the world is and finding a solution to the problem, AOC and other progressives want to push people to abandon certain technologies to prop up the failing business. Rather than looking forward to see how the Postal Service could thrive in this new economy, AOC wants to find a way to keep it on life support while it continues to do business in a way that's failing. I mean, why look at machines and technology to make the Postal Service more efficient when we can hand out spoons and keep everyone employed? Now, is this an outlying example? Are we just picking on Ms. Ocasio-Cortez because, well, it's so easy? Well, think about this for a second. Look at so much of what drives progressive these days. They wish to restore racism. Oh, I know they say they're against racism, but how are they trying to get rid of racism? By judging everyone by the color of their skin. See, now it's no longer good enough to be a good cop. You have to be a black cop. Well, maybe that's not a good idea. Okay, it's not good enough to be a good actor or even a great actor or a great director. You have to be a great female actor or a great colored director. They are trying to reinstate racism into this country, and sadly, they're winning. In 1776, we declared states to be free. We declared that we were all created equal, that governments were created to serve the people. We, the people, created governments, and we endowed them with certain powers, and their power was to protect our rights. Yet what do progressives want to do? They want to restore power back to government. You don't have rights except what the government says are your rights. The government doesn't want you to possess certain property, they don't let you. The government doesn't want you to speak a certain way, they'll punish you for that. You don't want to follow the government's edict about how to maintain certain characteristics of your health, they'll force you to do that as well. They also want to return America to a society where life has little value. Yes, it started with devaluing life in the womb. Then it got to devaluing life when it got old or infirm or was somehow disabled. You know, the Germans had a term for that. Vadens and Vertenslebens, life unworthy of life. That's what we see from the progressives today. See, when people say they want to progress, you always have to ask, progress to where? If those of you who may remember some of the Old Testament stories of Israel when they left Egypt, there was a bunch of people that said, we need to progress back to Egypt and slavery. While this may be a silly example of some really shallow thinking, think about what it says. The answer to the problem is to go back to the past. Not to learn from the past, but to restore the past. Rather than fixing the U.S. Postal Service so it can survive in the 21st century, we need people to go back to doing things in the way of the 19th and 20th century. Rather than looking how to live in the internet age, we need people to go back to the postcard age. And even if we were to do what Ms. Ocasio-Cortez recommends, it will do little to solve the problem, because the Postal Service's problem isn't postcards. Yes, they sell less stamps. They sell fewer stamps. Why? Because the services they offer are less valuable. Well, let's face it. If you're going to send a bill, all right, if you're sending a check to someone to pay a bill, yeah, you could do it via the postal. You could put it in an envelope, stick a stamp on it, and stick it in the mailbox. But it's easier nowadays to do it through a website or through your bank. The post office needs to recognize this. If you want to send a package, how often do you send the package via the Postal Service versus UPS or FedEx? If it absolutely positively has to get there overnight, do you trust the Postal Service or do you trust FedEx or UPS? Yes, it's a stupid, silly little example. I expect that level of thinking from Ms. Ocasio-Cortez. She's shown us so many examples. But it got me pondering, what can we learn from the progressives' foolishness like this? Let us restore racism. Let us keep life in the 20th century. Let us return to a place where government has power and where life means only what the government said it does. Now, I don't know about you, but when I ponder this, it makes me upset. Look at this for the foolishness that it is, but then realize what is underneath it. A desire to maintain, in many cases, antiquated, government-run, government-organized, government-subsidized systems so that the people who run those systems can remain in power. And think about this. In a few years, this young woman will be old enough to run for president of the United States. And if she's as popular then as she was when she started, that should scare every liberty-loving patriot to death. Think about what you're going to do then. So yeah, I found Ms. Ocasio-Cortez's suggestion foolish. It wasn't worth my time. But I stuck it in my queue of things to look at, figuring I'll get to it later. And as I pondered it, I realized there's a lot more to it than just this silly, foolish little example. If we are not going to grow up, wake up, look at the world the way it is, and then figure out how to make it better, it will continue to get worse. As long as the Titanic was on course for the iceberg, it was going to sink. And they didn't try to change course until it was too late. Putting Ms. Ocasio-Cortez at the helm, telling we need to stay on this course, all we need to do is put a little more steam, little more speed, means we're going to run right into that iceberg. And we know how that worked out. Yeah, a few hundred people survived and 1,500 people died. Now, this isn't a rip on the Postal Service. To be honest, with the exception of some of their back-end finances, the Postal Service isn't that bad. I I mean, you think about it, for 37 cents or whatever it is now, I can put a letter in my mailbox at the end of my driveway, and in a few days, it'll end up anywhere in the country. That's not half bad. If you buy something from the website, most likely I'm shipping it through the Postal Service because it's inexpensive for me to ship my books via the Postal Service, and they arrive in just a few days. As long as they keep doing that, I don't have a problem with it. The problem with the Postal Service is twofold. One, their finances, the way they've organized their finances, is a disaster. No wonder they can't keep. No wonder they keep running a deficit. Their finances are a mess. And the other is the same you have when you have effectively government, pseudo-government employees. Their customer service sucks, at least in person. Now, I live in a small town. I have a very small post office. I get wonderful service. But when I go to the small city just down the street, the service sucks. Why would I spend 15, 20 minutes online to deal with somebody who seems to barely tolerate me to ship a package or even just drop off a letter, when I can go down the street to a UPS store or a FedEx store, and they're happy to see me and more than willing to help me do what I need to get done? Again, this isn't so much about I keep talking about the Postal Service. This is about the idea that what are the best solutions for the problems our country is in? Now, my idea is the first thing we need to do is we need to educate ourselves. We need to read and study the Constitution. We need to know what our rights are. What Ms. Cortez is talking about doesn't impact my rights at all unless she tries to get the government involved. Keep the government out, be my guest, I don't care. But I thought it was worth taking a little bit of time and pondering what are the ideas behind all this foolishness that we keep hearing out of the progressives. Now, if you thought this useful, hey, share it. That's why I put it on the website. It's up on YouTube, Facebook. I'm on Parler. I'm on Rumble now. Check out Rumble. I just started posting to Rumble. I'm on Twitter, all of these. So you can share that. So we can start exposing some of this foolishness. And if you can help support the podcast, be my guest. Please head over to the website, constitutionstudy.com/donate, and you can help keep the Constitution Study podcast alive, keep it growing, and keep it free. There's no advertisers. This all happens because you and people like you have donated to the cause and keep this up and running. And if you thought this was worth your time, then I hope I'll see you again next time on the Constitution Study.
There's one thing you have to